So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc. So let's start the series. Hello, I'm Dr. Growler, head professor of the Duel Academy. You are all here because you think you have the talent to be accepted into our esteemed Duel Academy, but we will be the ones to determine whether that is true or not. If you lose, we won't accept any excuses, and you won't be given another chance until the following year. As he concluded his speech, he received some applause, but most people were staring at him strangely, trying to determine whether he was a man or a woman. He was very androgynous looking, and most people assumed he was a man based on his slightly deep voice. The examinations will start momentarily, so finish any last-minute preparations you might have and get ready for a duel that could very well change your life. Naruto could tell by looking around at the numerous potential students that most of them were likely skilled duelists but would not be in the news for long. A few of them caught his eye, but they were already dressed in school uniforms. One student was excelling in the duel field. He had his hair slicked back and, based on what he could hear, had a slight British accent. Things were going very differently at another field. A short, blue-haired boy was actually about to lose, but it looked like he was going to make a comeback, and he was right, the youngster barely managed to win. As his name was called, Naruto went to the field and rearranged his backpack. Naruto Uzumaki, to field 3. Naruto nodded to the duel teacher and turned on his duel disc, which was a typical duel disc that could be purchased at any game store. This will be a standard 4,000 life point duel. Are you ready? Naruto was pleased to discover that his 5 cards were a solid beginning hand. The hand of Naruto: Dark Fusion, Elemental Hero Stratos, Ring of Destruction, Mobius the Frost Monarch, and Nimble Momonga. Naruto noticed when he looked up that his opponent had also completed drawing his cards. Naruto LP, 4,000. LP of the instructor, 4,000. Naruto nodded his head at his opponent and drew his card. Since I am the instructor, I will go first. I set 1 card in face-down defense mode, and then I set 2 cards face down. I end my turn, he said. Sparkman, the elemental hero. Naruto grinned as he glanced at his hand and realized his strategy. I call forth elemental hero Stratos. Hero Stratos Elemental. 1800 ATK. Def. 300. After that, I activate his effect, which enables me to take a hero monster out of my deck and place it in my hand. Naruto selected Elemental Hero Clayman from his deck, rearranged his deck, and placed it back into his duel disc. Now, I activate Dark Fusion. This lets me fuse together the Elemental Hero Sparkman and Elemental Hero Clayman that I have in my hand to summon Evil Hero Lightning Golem. Lightning Golem, Evil Hero, ATK, 2,400. Def, 1,500. The enormous creature materialized with a flash of lightning, and the instructor began to perspire due to its immense size. Gathering electricity in its hand, Evil Hero Lightning Golem shot a lightning bolt at the facedown card, exploding it and revealing the facedown card to be a mystical elf. Smirking at the instructor's body language, Naruto placed the Ring of Destruction facedown and said, I end my turn. Now, I activate Evil Hero Lightning Golem's effect. Once per turn, I can choose 1 monster on the field and destroy it. I choose your face-down monster. Naruto knew that the 2 cards he had face down were trap cards that activated when he attacked, otherwise, they would have activated when he summoned his monsters. Nevertheless, it was clear to Naruto that the instructor was perplexed by his decision to refrain from striking. I draw. I set 1 monster on the field in defense mode. I end my turn, Naruto said, shaking his head at the feeble attack he had seen so far. He pulled out his card, Mystical Space Typhoon, and grinned at the knowledge that he had a backup in case something went wrong. He intended to complete the duel this turn. I tribute Elemental Hero Stratos to summon Mobius the Frost Monarch. The Frost Monarch Mobius. ATK, 2,400. Def, 1,000. Smirking at the instructor's attempt to conceal his face, Naruto proceeded with his attack. By being successfully tribute summoned, I can choose up to 2 spell or trap cards on the field and destroy them. I choose the 2 face-down cards you have, he said. Next, I activate Lightning Golem's effect and destroy your face-down monster, said Evil Hero Lightning Giant yet again, this time defeating Spirit of the Harp, the opponent's face-down defense positioned monster. Both Mobius and Lightning Golem launched simultaneous attacks, reducing the instructor's health points to 0. Now you're wide open, Lightning Golem, Mobius, attack him directly and end this duel. Naruto LP, 4000. LP of the instructor, 0000. As he was leaving, Naruto heard the crowd talking about him. He had defeated the instructor quickly and without losing any life points, which was unusual. Unfortunately for Naruto, he couldn't hear an attractive blonde girl talking about him because of the numerous whispers. Guess, that means I'm in the academy, right? The instructor asked, nodding. That was impressive, the blonde girl said, astonished to see Zane's peculiar expression on his face as she looked to her right. What's wrong? She followed Zane's gaze and saw that he was staring at Naruto. You usually don't take an interest in new students so quickly, what's different about him? She was unable to determine what caught Zane's attention. Nonetheless, Naruto was good and had just started at the academy. She turned back to Zane and missed a latecomer being brought onto the field to battle Dr. Growler. Did you see how he reacted, Alexis? She asked. Throughout the entire duel, he wasn't the least bit worried. It actually looks like he doesn't think that this is worth his time. Someone who has that much confidence is either arrogant or has so much experience that something like this qualifier bores him. He's someone to watch out for. Zane left the room and Alexis was able to stare in disbelief. Zane rarely said that a duelist was truly worth their time, therefore it was incredible to hear him give Naruto so much praise after just one encounter. Alexis turned back to the duel fields, but she could only see the conclusion of the final duel of the day. Ah, I missed the whole duel, she said, shrugging her shoulders. She would be able to see more of the new students once they arrived at the academy, and she hoped to see more of that Naruto guy, who seemed intriguing. Congratulations on being accepted into Obelisk Blue. You are the pinnacle of the elite in this school. As such, you are expected to excel in everything you do. This includes, but is not limited to, dueling, tests, schoolwork, physical fitness, blah blah blah. Naruto had attempted to listen to Dr. Growler's speech, but the man seemed to enjoy the sound of his own voice. He looked around and noticed that he was the only new male student wearing a white coat with blue trim, which seemed odd, but he wasn't complaining as he preferred this coat to the others. Additionally, as he kept looking, he noticed how gorgeous the academy girls were. What's better is that their uniforms had short skirts. If the breeze was strong enough, they would go up. He was going to love this place. Damn, this is my room? Naruto noticed that his room was much larger than he had anticipated, had a great view, a large bed, lots of closet space, a large TV, and a large bathroom with a shower large enough for 2 people and a tub large enough for multiple people. After setting his backpack on the bed, Naruto opened it and took out a case. He grinned as he opened the deck cases, taking them out one at a time and putting them on the desk. He saw his dual spirits emerge from their cases, but they didn't stay long. They all left to explore the island shortly after, and Naruto started unpacking his clothes while shaking his head at their antics. Since there were no people in the area, Naruto yelled, I have to say that this island is great. It has a cool forest, a beach, and even an active volcano. Actually, that volcano might be a tad dangerous. Oh well, not my problem. Now, what the hell am I supposed to do with all of this free time, and why am I alone? It's because they're all at the welcoming party for the students, Naruto said, turning around to be pleasantly surprised to see a pretty young woman with blonde hair who was a few inches shorter than him and dressed in the typical academy attire. I probably would have known that had I listened to Dr. Growler, but if I had then I wouldn't have met you, and I believe that's a good thing. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. I'm Alexis Rhodes, she said, reaching to shake his hand. She blushed slightly when Naruto took her hand and kissed the top of it, not because it had never been done before, but he didn't seem to be trying to impress her, rather, it seemed like it was his instinct. Alexis nodded in response to his query. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Rhodes. I'm guessing that you're going to your dorms as well? He then offered her his arm, which startled her again. Well, I can't just allow a young woman to walk by herself now, can I? I'll escort you myself, he said. She put her arm around his and let him accompany her, saying, You're quite the gentleman, aren't you, Mr. Uzumaki? She would never acknowledge it, but she was enjoying it, so when he abruptly stopped, she was perplexed. When Alexis said, I just realized that I don't know where the girls' dorm is at, she began to laugh. She calmed herself after a short while, but a few chuckles still managed to get through. She looked at Naruto and saw that he was laughing too. They strolled in silence along the path, taking in the serenity of the surrounding woodland and the darkening sky. Come on, I'll lead, Naruto said, letting Alexis take the lead. He was pleased to see that she was smiling a little. Just so you know, I don't usually let boys escort me, Naruto said, grinning at her and laughing. She looked at him questioningly and simply shook her head to indicate that she didn't mind. Well, just so you know, I don't usually do this either. You just struck me as someone who deserves to be treated this way. I hope you don't mind, she said. Interestingly, Alexis felt the same way. Well, good, because I get the feeling that we'll be seeing more of each other, and it would be annoying if we weren't on good terms, Alexis said. Pulling herself from her thoughts, Alexis said, I'm sorry, Miss Rhodes, but this is where we must part ways. She was already in the girls' dorm, which somehow made her feel a little depressed. Naruto kissed her palm again and went to go, but Alexis' voice interrupted him. I must say that it was an honor to be escorted by you, he said. Naruto nodded to her and said, Just call me Alexis, that's what all of my friends call me. She nodded, and Naruto turned to head back to his room. Had he stayed a little longer, though, he would have seen Alexis turn around to face him as he was leaving. Only if you call me Naruto, it's what my friends call me, he said. Unfortunately for Alexis, two specific individuals noticed the glance she gave Naruto and smiled at one another, knowing they would have a conversation with Alexis later tonight. When Naruto entered and locked his room, his first words were, That party sucked. He then fell onto his bed, pulled out his school-issued PDA, and looked through his schedule. It was clear that they would have dueling classes, but he hadn't anticipated the others, which included classes in technology, art, science, mathematics, and other subjects. It seems that even though the school focused on dueling, they didn't neglect other subjects that were necessary. This was understandable given that not every student here would go on to become a professional duelist. Some would become technologists, some artists, and some teachers. Naruto was shocked to discover that he had contacts when he flipped through the numerous applications on the PDA. As he looked through them, he saw that they were all people he had spoken to, albeit briefly, just a few minutes, but that seemed to be all that was required for their PDAs to connect with the others. He stopped, though, when he discovered that he had Alexis' contact details. Taking that into consideration, he chose to message her. Based on what he could see, he had the option of sending a basic text message or a video message, but since they were unfamiliar with one another, he chose to send a simple text message. Apart from meeting you, the first day hasn't been particularly noteworthy. How about you? How has yours gone? After sending the brief message, Naruto checked the time and made the decision to sleep since, if today was any sign of the days ahead, he would need the energy. Up until the evening, Alexis' day had gone smoothly. After Naruto departed, she went into the dorm and started interacting with people. It wasn't a big deal, but Alexis was making an effort to be kind. However, after the party, things started to go awry. She invited Mindy and Jasmine to join her in the bathhouse since she had made the decision to unwind there, but she was unaware of their plans. Shortly after they entered, they began questioning her. At first, they asked basic questions like, "Who do you think is cute?" But eventually, they asked her directly, wanting to know about her relationship with Naruto. She could tell that things were going south the moment they saw the blush on her face. Things were winding down when her PDA went off, but she was able to brush it off as the heat from the water. She informed them that Naruto was just her friend and nothing more, and their laughter indicated that they didn't believe her. She sent off a message quickly, putting her head under the water to hide. It didn't really work because she needed to breathe, but it made her feel better. Mindy and Jasmine looked over her shoulder as she looked at it, and they read her message, which made her blush and made them laugh. She simply left the bathhouse after that and went to her room to sleep. Unfortunately, all of Mindy's and Jasmine's advice ended up creeping into her dreams, making things worse when she did like them. Any discussions with Naruto the next day would be unpleasant for a while. There seems to be a problem with Alexis because she refuses to even look at me and always turns away when I look at her. Her message from last night was silent, so did it happen today? From the corner of his eye, he saw Alexis writing next him. Naturally, she turned her head away as soon as he met her gaze, and Naruto sighed, deciding to handle it later in the day. We have a gym. I didn't see that yesterday. This class is dull, so I simply hope we have something engaging to do there. Given the task at hand, Naruto made the decision to just complete it because it would at least buy them some time. I don't know if all of these girls in short skirts are worth the unbelievable boredom. Well, maybe Alexis, but she's been ignoring me, Naruto said, leaning back in his seat and staring at the ceiling. Had he been observing his surroundings, he would have noticed that everyone was staring at him in shock. Some thought he was just trying to look cool, while others wondered how such a slacker even got into the obelisk dorm. Mr. Uzumaki. Naruto heard his name called and looked down to see that Growler had done so. Naruto leaned forward and let the chair fully contact the ground. Yes, Dr. Growler? Naruto was genuinely taken aback and questioned whether he had violated any laws. Can you explain to me why you, an obelisk blue, is slacking off? Naruto asked, blinking in bewilderment, until Alexis shoved him and pointed to his task. His eyes widened in shock, and he turned back to Growler to clarify. I've already finished the assignment, Dr. Growler, Naruto said, recognizing that Dr. Growler was taken aback by the response and motioning for the assignment to be brought to his desk at the front. Naruto shrugged and got up to turn in his assignment, but not before giving Alexis a thank you squeeze on the shoulder. Naruto handed the paper to Dr. Growler and waited in front of him as he read the assignment. He couldn't help but smile when he noticed Dr. Growler's eyes enlarging as he started to read the document swiftly. Dr. Growler was unable to speak as he looked up at Naruto. The students were given a task that involved defeating a duelist under specific conditions. They were permitted to add up to 5 cards of their choosing to the pre-made deck, and their grades were determined by how many strategies they used and how successful they were. Naruto's paper contained 4 different strategies that not only won him the duel but also totally destroyed the opponent. Why you're excused, Mr. Uzumaki, Naruto said, grinning at his dismissal from class. He started to whistle as he walked out of the room, ignoring everyone else but Alexis, to whom he waved goodbye and who waved back. When Alexis jumped and squeaked in surprise, Naruto's smile turned into a grin with laughter. Did you just squeak? That was so cute, he said, ignoring her red-faced spluttering. Naruto was at least relieved that his first friend from Duel Academy was speaking to him once more. Naruto. You scared me, and I haven't been meaning to ignore you. I've just had a lot on my mind, she said, raising an eyebrow in interest. Naruto waited for her to clarify. Alexis sighed and considered telling him, but she decided to do so in a modified form that left out her dreams. Since she was genuinely upset about what had happened, he chose to make it worse. Last night, my friends saw you escorting me and they decided to tease me about it. Normally stuff like this doesn't affect me, but it didn't help that you sent me a message the very moment they were about to stop, he said. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, I just felt that a woman like you deserves to be treated with the utmost respect. I never wanted to make things difficult for you with your friends. If you'll let me, I'll explain things directly to your friends, Naruto whispered into her ear as he grabbed her and pulled her into an embrace. Sensing that she nodded against him, Naruto gave her one last squeeze before holding her at arm's length and grinning at her. With that, Naruto released her and followed Alexis to find Mindy and Jasmine. However, they failed to remember that they had an audience, and everyone who had just left the classroom was staring at Naruto and Alexis in disbelief. The majority of the guys were envious, and the girls were wondering if Alexis would introduce them to Naruto. However, the Alexis fan club was the most impacted. They appeared to be bloodthirsty. Mindy lowered her head in sorrow as he shook his head in the negative. So you two aren't secretly dating? At all? She had truly believed that Alexis had found a lover during the break, but it turns out that she had merely made a friend a handsome friend, but still, just a friend. He was pleased to see that Alexis was feeling better. He joined in the talk and accompanied them until they arrived at the gymnasium, where they separated to change. Naruto asked the man to his right, who was staring at him, something isn't right, there's something that I know for sure isn't right, what do you think it is? Naruto turned back to face the other guys in the locker room and started to question what he had done to enrage them all. After giving it some thought, he came to the conclusion that he had done nothing wrong. Everyone suddenly rushed him, and Naruto could only groan. So, is someone gonna tell me what I did? 'Cause I can't for the life of me figure that out, he said. Fonda Fontaine asked, Mr. Uzumaki, where are the rest of the boys? She had good reason to be interested because he was the lone boy. When Naruto finished, Fontaine instructed the class to jog the track until she returned. She then proceeded to the boys' locker room to observe what transpired. For some reason, they all tried to run out of the locker room at the same time, and because of that they all ended up hurting themselves, Fontaine said. Naruto ran to catch up with Alexis, Mindy, and Jasmine as the class started to jog. He could sense that Alexis was examining him with suspicion during the jog. Even though she had only known him for a short time, she could tell that he added interest. Mindy and Jasmine were unable to keep up and started to fall behind as they ran. Normally, Alexis would have slowed down, but Naruto was still going strong. She wasn't sure why, but she wanted to keep up with him. Alexis noticed that as they jogged, they were gradually increasing their speed until they were running, and then they were sprinting. Although he could still go faster, Naruto kept up with Alexis because he didn't want to abandon her. As they ran, he was genuinely shocked by how long she could continue. Most people couldn't even last more than a few moments, so it impressed him that she was able to continue. Naruto was happy to say that he was surprised. When he noticed that she was finally slowing down, he did the same. He grinned at her and wasn't shocked to see that she was beaming broadly. As they slowed to a walk, Naruto noticed that Alexis was taking deep breaths, and he became distracted by this more than once. He wasn't sure if Alexis noticed him doing that, but if she did, she didn't seem to mind. Guffawing, Naruto had to hold on to Alexis to prevent him from falling, but it didn't help because she was laughing too, and soon they both fell to the ground. When they finally stopped, they realized that they had literally left their classmates in the dust. Their little sprint had taken place when they lapped their classmates, and as a result, they kicked up enough dust to cover the entire group. Continuing to laugh, Naruto turned onto his side and gazed at Alexis' laughing face. He briefly froze before getting back up and helping her stand again, but she continued to laugh and struggled to stand, so Naruto helped her maintain her balance. When she calmed down, she realized that Naruto was holding her, and she only saw his smiling face when he released her. "What happened here?" they asked, turning to see that Fontaine had returned and was examining the students coated in dust. The group pointed at Naruto and Alexis as she glanced back and forth at the students who looked embarrassed and the students covered in dust, but she was only able to shake her head. "I think it'd be best if we ended class early today," Fontaine said, turning back to the nurse's office. She had a group of grumpy children to tend to, and it seemed as though they had never experienced bruises before. As they made their way back to the locker rooms, Naruto and Alexis simply shrugged at one another. Naruto grinned as he entered the guys' locker room and noticed a tiny damage in the lockers. Alexis, who was waiting for him to emerge, asked, "So, are you going to tell me what happened in the boys' locker room?" Naruto's wriggling eyebrows conveyed to Alexis exactly what he meant when he said, "I don't know. Are you going to tell me what happened in the girls' locker room while you were taking a shower?" "Nothing happened. I went in, undressed, quickly showered, and then put my uniform back on." "Nothing that you didn't do," she said, turning to face Naruto, who was looking at her with a startled expression. "What?" She genuinely questioned what she had said incorrectly as she noticed that he was shaking his head back and forth. It took her a moment to realize, but when she did, she turned red and wide-eyed. "First, you're a very attractive young woman. Second, think about what you just said and think about what sort of things can pop into someone's head when you say that," she continued. "Remember, just because men and women do the same things, it doesn't mean that they carry the same weight when spoken out loud. Now to answer your question, I'm not really sure what happened. I just went in and everyone was just glaring at me. After that they rushed me and I had to defend myself," which caused Alexis to disregard what she said. Apart from Naruto, there were perhaps 20 male pupils in the class. Did he defeat 20 of them at once without significantly hurting any of them? Naruto appeared to be more than just a gorgeous face. Judging from her PDA, it appeared that she had nothing better to do with her time. He was also looking at his PDA when she turned to face him. She walked over to his side, leaned forward, and looked at his PDA. She frowned as she realized that Naruto had the exact same schedule as her own and that he had a humorous expression on his face. She then noticed that she was still leaning on his arm, and she tried to avoid getting red again by getting off of him. "How about we go and hang out for a bit?" "I don't feel like going to eat just yet," Naruto said, laughing at the idea of making her blush again. She simply agreed, still flushed, not wanting to make herself look worse than she already had. Naruto asked his friends, "What sort of things can we do here?" Alexis, Mindy, and Jasmine were with him. Since none of them had any courses the remainder of the day, they chose to simply hang out. Considering all of that, Naruto pondered whether he could persuade the girls to visit the beach, river, or lake. "Well, there's dueling, going to the beach, hiking through the forest, going to the lake or the river, and renting a boat from the harbor," he said. He glanced at his PDA in shock and was shocked to discover that Mindy was correct. There are also facilities like the card shop, the computer center, and wait, why am I explaining this? "It's all in your PDA," he said. As the girls giggled, Naruto walked them to their dorm before departing to go to his own. I thought I looked through all of this last night," Naruto said, putting the PDA away. He realized they had returned to the dorms just in time, as his stomach started growling and he scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Naruto was accosted as soon as he entered the dorms. It appeared that many of the new students were staring at him, and some older students were also present. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Hanging around Alexis like you're her friend, you aren't worthy of being in the same room as her, let alone being able to hug her. Naruto asked himself, is that why I got attacked in the locker rooms? But everyone around him heard him. He backed away, and they all glanced at one another. Did he beat up 20 of them? Most gym classes had around 20 boys and girls. All at once? The other students turned on their dual discs as soon as he said, no matter, Alexis hasn't said she doesn't enjoy my company, so until then I'll hang out with her since she's my friend. If you have a problem with it, then I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna stop hanging out with her because all of you are jealous. Naruto simply left the bewildered group to try to figure out what had happened after saying, you do realize that I actually don't have my dual disc with me, right? If you want to duel me, then wait until I finish eating, I'm starving. The gang that confronted Naruto when he entered was seated at one of the tables. Naruto replied, look, I already said I was gonna duel you, but can you please just stop staring at me? It's making it difficult to enjoy my food. He looked at the person who spoke and noticed that it was Chester, a student in his class. Yeah, you said that, but we're making sure that keep your word, he remarked. Chester? Cheetos? It began with CH. The group reluctantly dispersed after he said, you all know where I live, I have classes with most of you, and I said it in plain sight of everyone in the dorm. If I didn't keep my word, then I would lose any sort of respect I might have here, shaking his head in frustration. Naruto was finally able to eat his food in peace. When Naruto said, okay, how do you want to do this? 1-on-1? 1-on-2? 1-on-3? I don't really care, once you're done deciding, just line up, and we'll start. The whole group that had been following him outside began a crazy scramble to find a partner or a place in line. When he saw the long line growing, he pulled out his PDA and sent Alexis a message. Jasmine remarked, I can't believe that everyone wants you to introduce them to Naruto, after being astounded by the sheer number of people who had gathered around them after they had eaten lunch. Well, it doesn't help that he's cute, Mindy and Jasmine said, causing them to start laughing. Alexis, however, wasn't amused. She didn't know when it began, but whenever someone asked her to introduce them to Naruto, she got a weird feeling in her chest that she quickly decided to ignore, but it got worse and worse. She even glared at them when they asked. Alexis was aware of what was happening with her, but she was still in shock. She had only known Naruto for 2 days, and their relationship shouldn't be progressing so rapidly that she became envious that someone was interested in getting to know him. It actually made her a little nervous to realize how quickly their relationship was developing, and she was currently trying to figure out why. Even with Mindy and Jasmine, it took her some time to become as close to them as she was with Naruto. When Alexis heard a beep, she recognized it was her PDA. She pulled it out and saw that it was a message from Naruto. Mindy and Jasmine noticed that she smiled a little when she saw who it was from, but they found it odd that Alexis was infatuated, but it was refreshing. Normally, she would only be focused on dueling or trying to learn more about her brother, so they knew this would benefit her. They were distracted from their thoughts by the abrupt frown that appeared on Alexis' face. So what did Naruto say? Alexis asked without even raising her head. Apparently, he has to duel a bunch of people in a row, so he's going to be busy for a while, she said. They knew there was more to it because Alexis continued to frown, but she didn't say anything when she didn't want to. So did he tell you where he's dueling? I'd like to see how he duels, Alexis said without saying anything, but Mindy and Jasmine could tell she was upset because this had happened before, so they simply followed. Next, 2 individuals appeared, dueled, and he swiftly vanquished them. Next this time, there were 3 opponents. It took longer, but he too vanquished them swiftly. This was how Naruto's life had turned out: duel, win, duel, win. At first, everything seemed fine, but he wasn't getting enough challenges. The fact that he had attracted a crowd didn't help either. Initially, it was just the group that wanted to duel him, but as word spread that someone was beating all of the obelisk blues, crowds from all the dorms started to assemble. It was annoying, and as more and more people arrived, the line seemed to get longer and longer. He was also certain that he had already defeated the original group, so now it was mostly just people who wanted to duel the guy with the incredible winning streak. What he found most astounding was that not a single instructor had shown up to explain why there was such a big crowd. The sun was starting to set as he looked up at the sky, which made him question how long he had been fighting all of these people. When he saw that his opponents had completed their turn, Naruto pulled out his card. Fusion of the Dark. He glanced at his hand and grinned at his card. Swords of Revealing Light, Grandmarg the Rock Monarch, Evil Hero Malicious Edge, and Mask Change. He noticed that he had Elemental Hero Ice Edge in attack mode while he was looking at the field. 800 ATK. Def, 900. Clayman, an Elemental Hero, in defense mode. 800 ATK. Def, 2000. There are no spell or trap cards on the field. The Javelin Beetle was in attack mode when his opponents attacked. ATK, 2450. Def, 2550. And Sharnado in attack mode, King of a Higher Plane. ATK, 3300. Def, 3000. Their field is devoid of magic cards and traps. Naruto LP, 1200. LP of Opponent 1, 100. LP for Opponent 2, 1000. I activate the spell card, Mask Change, and use it on Elemental Hero Clayman. By sending Clayman to the graveyard, I can special summon Masked Hero Dien. Naruto grinned, knowing he would win the duel this turn. Suddenly, a white armored warrior wearing a blue cape appeared, holding a white lance. Hero Dien in a mask. ATK, 2800. Def, 3000. Next I activate Dark Fusion. I fuse together Evil Hero Malicious Edge and Grandmarg the Rock Monarch to fusion summon Evil Hero Dark Gaia, but Naruto wasn't done yet. Dark Gaia, the Evil Hero. ATK? Def, 0000. Dark Gaia's attack points are equal to the combined original attack of the fusion material monsters used to summon it. Malicious Edge had 2,600 attack points and Rock Monarch had 2,400 attack points. Added together, it has 5,000 attack points, he said, smirking as he saw his opponents trembling from what they knew was going to happen. The creature with the red wings and white rock-like armor emerged from the ground. As they rushed towards their opponents, Gaia and Dien annihilated Sharnado and the Javelin Beetle. The ensuing explosion knocked Naruto's opponents off their feet and reduced their life points to 0. Dark Gaia. Attack Sharnado. Dien attacked Javelin Beetle. There was a loud and nearly universal negative to the statement, "That's another win for me, now, I'm tired and hungry, can I stop now?" until Zane arrived, which depressed everyone. After Zane said, "While I'm sure that everyone would love to see you duel some more, you don't seem physically capable of doing it anymore," everyone turned to stare at Naruto. It took some time for them to realize what Zane was talking about, but Naruto was trembling a little, not much, but enough to be seen if you were looking for it. "Ah, so you noticed? Well, in that case, I'm just gonna lay down," Naruto said carelessly as he fell onto his back and fell asleep. Everyone, including Zane, was perplexed before Zane simply laughed and walked away. The rest of the crowd started to disperse because they were unsure how to interpret the perplexing situation. Though she was perplexed when he decided to close his eyes and his face turned slightly red, that changed when she noticed that she was casting a shadow on his face and realized she had unintentionally flashed him her underwear. As everyone else left, only Alexis was left. Mindy and Jasmine had decided to return to their dorm. To let him know he could open his eyes, she coughed into her hand as she backed off. When Naruto opened his eyes and realized it was safe to stand up, he leaped to his feet and grinned at Alexis, who didn't appear to be at all worn out. When she finished, Naruto simply scratched the back of his head. I can't believe you were able to fool everyone into thinking you were that tired. I can't believe you even got Zane to believe it, and he's usually very difficult to trick, he said. Actually, he's the one who came up with it. When he said that I wasn't able to physically duel anymore, I ran with it and started making myself tremble. I'm glad he understood me not wanting to duel anymore, though. It sucks that I can't go into the cafe. I really am hungry, she thought to herself. With that, she began pulling Naruto by the hand to the ladies' dorms, where she would grab some food to go from the cafeteria. Come on, I'll get us some food, she said. Alexis stopped and asked, so, do I wait out here? Where would they eat? It had to be a remote location so they wouldn't be disturbed. He was confident in his abilities, as seen by the enormous smile he gave her when she asked, how good are you at sneaking around? Alexis said, here's the key to my room number is on it, don't lose it, and then he left, leaving Naruto staring at the key bewildered. He hadn't really anticipated that. After making sure no one was nearby, he approached the side of the hostel and started to climb up the wall. He had to avoid the windows to avoid being discovered and accused of being a pervert. When he arrived at the roof, he searched for a skylight and was pleased to find one. He checked to see if he could open it and was pleased to find that he could. After opening it, he slid inside, adhered to the roof, and crawled slowly while trying to keep as quiet as possible because some girls were seated and talking. When Naruto arrived at the hallway, he checked the key and realized that he was actually quite close to Alexis' room. He walked down the hallway, making sure no one was nearby, and then he went to the door. Just as he was about to open it, he heard a noise coming from down the hall. He quickly put his hands together, but he was quickly engulfed in smoke before a plant replaced him. The laughing girls didn't notice the tree that shouldn't have been there, so as they went by, Naruto let go of his transformation and exhaled in relief. He made sure to check that they were gone by before opening the door and closing it behind him, and once inside, he let himself unwind. As he looked around, he saw that Alexis' room was actually a little larger than his own. The walls were adorned with posters of well-known duelists, and the furniture was the same type as his own. However, her desk was covered in a number of notes and post-its, which he had intended to glance at quickly but changed his mind when he noticed a particular symbol. He took a closer look and started reading through them. The notes seemed to be about an abandoned dorm on campus. He made a mental note to investigate, but put it down when he heard a faint knock at the door. Naruto hurried up to it and peered through the peephole to see that it was Alexis, who appeared anxious. He hurriedly opened the door and shut it behind her. He noticed that she was holding 2 boxes that smelled like delectable food. He sat down on the floor and leaned against the bed as she did the same. He took the box she gave him, thanked her, and opened it. He started to drool a little as he looked at the meal and only stopped when he heard Alexis laugh. He wiped the saliva away with a napkin and started eating. They didn't really talk while they were eating, they just enjoyed each other's company. Alexis smiled when she saw Naruto leaning back on her bed and rubbing his tummy. Alexis, I can't thank you enough, she said. I just got you some food, you make it sound like I saved your life, he said, turning to face her and staring into her eyes. He remained silent for a few seconds, which made Alexis a little uneasy, but then he grinned. She turned her head, blushing, hearing such gratitude for simply getting him some food. She didn't think it was that spectacular, but obviously he did. I might not have been dying, but you were generous enough to get it for me. You don't know how much that means to me, she said. Well, you're welcome, she said, turning to face Naruto again and being shocked to see that he was genuinely sleeping. She smiled softly and began to yawn, feeling more and more exhausted by the second. She closed her eyes to rest them for a little while, but the next minute she fell asleep. They remained in that position until a knock on the door woke them up, neither of them realizing the position they were in. As Alexis started to approach the door, Naruto went to the bathroom. During their sleep, Alexis started to move closer to Naruto until she was resting her head against his shoulder and he put his arms around her. Alexis rubbed her eyes and opened the door. Mindy? What's going on? Better yet, what time is it? Also, why are you in your pajamas? Alexis said, waking her up immediately because Mindy was hard to get out of bed if she was determined to go to sleep. Taking the note Mindy was holding, she examined it and saw that it was for the Slifer Red she had met the other day. We found a pervert outside. He claims that he had a note that told him to come here, but apparently it was written for someone else. We know you would never write such a note for a Slifer Red, but we decided to let you decide what to do to him. I'm saying we report him. She recognized this as an opportunity and understood what she would do. Hey, Alexis, where do I throw away the trash? She turned to face Naruto, but she missed Mindy's wide-eyed expression. Just put them into the trash can, I'll take them out tomorrow. Also, can you get my dual disk? She asked, heard him say, and then turned back to face Mindy. What? She asked. She finally understood the expression and attempted to respond, but Mindy simply waved her away. A moment later, Naruto arrived at the door with her dual disk, and she smiled as she took it on and put it on. I'm not gonna ask, what you do with people in your room is your business, but I try and get him out of here so that people don't see and start making rumors, she said. I'll sneak out of here, that way people don't start making rumors. I'll see you later today, okay, she said, smiling as she felt his hand squeeze hers. He made up rumors as he went down the hall, laughing into her hand. She glanced at Mindy and gestured for her to take the lead as she shut her door. Hey, wake up, I've got some questions, Naruto said as he sat in his room on his cell phone. He had remembered to search for details about the hostel that had been abandoned. Although the man on the phone sounded irritated, Naruto had long since grown accustomed to it. What do you want? I thought we agreed to keep communications to a minimum. That way no one can connect you to me, he said. A sigh was heard, and Naruto realized that this was going to be quite a tale. I need answers about the abandoned dorm here on campus, what happened and why. Remember that I created a branch to investigate strange phenomenon associated with duel monsters? We had assigned the students in that dorm to investigate the so-called shadow duels. No one had realized exactly how far they took their tests until they ended up missing. Since then, we've quarantined the area and have tried to look for information about the shadow duels from all over the world. Unfortunately, there isn't much to go on. Even when we get outside help, Naruto knew precisely whom the outside assistance was, which explained the disdain with which she said it. How many students disappeared? Naruto heard another sigh and realized that things wouldn't go well. After hearing the names, Naruto realized why Alexis was looking into the abandoned dorm. Quite a few disappeared. The most prominent among them were Yusuke Fujiwara and Atticus Rhodes. Both of them were among the top of their class in both academics and dueling. Naruto was moved to hear the man's sincere concern when he said, Naruto, be careful while you're there. There's a reason the school was built on that location. If you end up in danger, do whatever is necessary to protect yourself. We can figure out how to deal with the fallout afterward. Good night, Dad. Good night, son, Sito said, ending the call. He had been hesitant to send his son to Duel Academy due to the apparent dangers there, but it was for the best because Naruto's unnatural propensity for getting into trouble would help expose the situation and hopefully help to clean up the mess. With a sigh, he made the decision to go back to bed because he had to get up early in the morning and Makuba would verbally reprimand him if he wasn't on time. After a month, after a few instances, Everyone finally realized that Naruto was not going anywhere anytime soon. The month had gone well for Naruto, who had made great friends with Alexis, Mindy, and Jasmine. He was also no longer attacked by the Alexis fan club because Alexis verbally reprimanded anyone who attempted to pick a fight with him. The other duelists accepted it primarily because Naruto never turned away a duel, regardless of the dorm they were from. However, the dueling challenges continued to take place every day, which meant that he was frequently busy for days at a time trying to keep up with all of the challenges. He had established a rule that they couldn't bother him on Saturdays or Sundays, just so that he could unwind or hang out with his friends. However, this had the unintended consequence of making Naruto the target of rivalry from people in every dorm as he began to amass his own fan base. But right now, Naruto was wondering why he had overslept. It had only happened when he was really exhausted, and it only grew worse when he realized he had done so for the exam on dorm changes. As he was running toward the school, Naruto noticed something in the distance. Slowing down, he realized it was the elderly card shop employee pushing a van uphill. Despite her difficulties, he knew right away what he had to do. He ran down, went behind the van, and was shocked to see another student already assisting. He moved to the opposite side and started pushing as well. When he saw the other student staring at him, Naruto said, "Naruto Uzumaki," in a strained voice as he pushed the van upward. Jade and Yuki proceeded to push the van up the hill while shaking hands with one another. They both wished to prevent the older woman from injuring herself from the strain of pushing the heavy van uphill, which was still quite heavy even with 3 people. They were only 20 minutes late overall, but it took some time to push the van to its destination before Jaden and Naruto started running as quickly as they could. Once inside, Jaden started to head for his seat while Naruto ran and leaped the stairs. Naruto tucked into a roll, landed safely, and used what was left of his inertia to reach the professor of desk. He proceeded to sit next to Alexis while taking the test, ignoring the surprised glances he was receiving. When he saw the look she was giving him, he mouthed sorry. When she returned her attention to the test, he knew he was going to get a talking to when they were done. Naruto focused entirely on the test at first, and although he would pass it with ease given the time he wasted, it would be somewhat close. As Naruto stretched and got up to turn in his test, he noticed that the people who were still there hadn't thought he was finished yet. As he left the classroom, he wasn't surprised to see Alexis waiting for him. She had finished a few minutes before him, and he knew she would chastise him for not taking the test seriously. But before she could respond, he gave her a hug. They had begun hugging whenever they saw each other and were by themselves. There were enough rumors about them that they didn't want to start anymore. He gave her a final squeeze before letting her go, opening his mouth to defend himself. "Before you say anything, I was going to be on time, but I saw the woman that works at the card shop pushing a van uphill and I couldn't just leave her there to hurt herself, so I'm sorry I wasn't here on time, but I'm not going to regret my actions." As she laughed at his response, he raised his eyebrows. Alexa's smile only widened when Naruto understood that his concern was pointless. "I was actually going to ask how you thought you did on the test considering that you had to rush through it," Alexis said. Her nod assured him that she would perform well. If Alexis wasn't sure of her abilities, he would be concerned. "Oh, well, in that case, I think I did pretty well. Are you ready for the duel section?" He could tell by her expression that she had also forgotten. "Wait a minute. Isn't today the day the school gets new cards?" Neither of them actually needed new cards, but they were unsure of what they could find. He began dragging Alexis along after saying, "Come on, let's go see what they get," but she was only successful in getting him to slow down when he released her hand. After that, they strolled side by side, their hands occasionally brushing. The desk worker nodded and went to retrieve the cart from the back. "So all of the cards have already been bought?" Well, that sucks. Oh, do you still have the drawbread? I want to try my luck, she said. She wanted to see if she could get the golden egg bread, but his wink told her that he only wanted to see her get a nasty draw. She had already had the golden egg bread once, and it was delicious, but her favorite was actually the chocolate bread. So, do you want to try the drawbread too? I'll even pay for it, he said. He turned to face the counter and noticed the old woman he had assisted earlier that day. Oh, you're one of the young men who helped me, he said. Oh, hello again, is your back okay? The young man's sincere care moved the elderly grandmother. Don't worry, I'm fine. If anything, we should be worried about you. You were late for your exam today. Dismissing her worries, he responded. What kind of person would I be if I didn't try to help people who needed? He was shocked to discover that she had taken one of the dual packs out from under the counter. Oh, that reminds me, I was able to save this. Before the cards were all bought, I wanted to give it to you as thanks, he said. She gave him the packet while grinning at the remark. Looks like Granny's pretty sly. He nodded and said, I don't know what cards you might get, but I hope they help you, before opening the packet. He already had most of the cards, with the exception of Mirror Force, which he had been looking for everywhere he could think of, but people wouldn't part with such a helpful card so readily. See any you want, Alexis? He could hear Alexis humming to himself. He had previously done this. Rather than holding on to cards he would likely never use, he gave them away to people who would. The first time he had done this, he had done it inside the duel arena, and everyone rushed to see what cards he was giving away. He learned his lesson from that experience. Only give away cards when you're in a small group. Not any that catch my eye at the moment, he said, nodding to her before putting all of the cards back in the envelope and pocketing Mirror Force, which he added to his deck because it wouldn't throw off the balance. Here's the drawbread. Try your luck, and hope that you get the golden egg bread, Naruto said, observing that the large cart was still fairly full. After transferring the money for 2 drawbreads, he approached the cart and, after giving it a serious look, he reached in and took out one of the breads. He could see that Alexis was going to take out hers. They exchanged glances, nodded, and opened the packet. As they took a mouthful, they simultaneously uttered the bread's name. Ramen, said Alexis. According to Naruto, chocolate. They looked at one another once again and were taken aback by the fact that they had become one another's favorites. Trade, they questioned one another. They exchanged their loaves while laughing, but they were blind to the knowing glances that the store owners exchanged. After eating their breads, they departed the card shop. Good luck, Alexis, I hope you do well, he said, quickly squeezing her hand as she smiled at him. He then proceeded to the duel field after walking down the stands, but was taken aback to discover that he had no opponent. Glancing around, he spotted an instructor and waved them over. It turned out to be Dr. Growler. Since their initial encounter in class, Dr. Growler has essentially allowed him to do as he wanted as long as he wasn't disruptive. As a result, Naruto frequently finds himself in class, searching through his deck to see if he can come up with any fresh tactics. Ah, Mr. Uzumaki, what can I do for you? Well, I don't have an opponent, Dr. Growler said, pulling out his PDA and looking through the list of partnered pupils. When he saw Naruto's opponent, however, he did not look pleased. This can't be right, Dr. Growler said after observing Naruto tilt his head and raise an eyebrow in perplexity. Dr. Growler attempted to resolve the issue after observing Naruto's comprehending expression. Well, it says that you have to duel an upperclassman. We have students duel within their class, we never have them duel upperclassmen for a dorm change exam. It's not fair for the younger students, he said. Naruto wanted to discover if he had previously dueled them before, so he said, who was I supposed to duel anyway? You're supposed to duel Zane Kaiser Marufuji, Naruto said, grinning. He had been wanting to duel Zane for a few weeks, but he was pressed for time. Nevertheless, it seemed as though someone had arranged everything specifically for Naruto. "I'll do it," Dr. Growler said, turning to face Naruto with a perplexed expression. When Dr. Growler said, "Mr. Uzumaki, Mr. Marufuji is the best duelist here at the academy. If you went through with this, then it's almost absolutely certain that you will lose, if that does not have a high enough score to remain in obelisk blue." He was trying to prevent Naruto from moving to a lower dorm because he was very talented and wanted to see that talent grow, but he couldn't do that if he was in a different dorm. Dr. Growler sighed when he realized that Naruto was positive. He was going to be sad to see him leave his dorm, but it would only be for a month. "Thank you for your concern, Doctor, but you can't win all of the time. If I lose, then it just means that I still have room to grow. Besides, even if I do get demoted, I'll just climb my way back up," he said. With that, Dr. Growler left to fetch Zane. "Very well then, I'll bring Mr. Marufuji here. Prepare yourself, Mr. Uzumaki. Mr. Marufuji isn't someone you can duel half-heartedly." Sighing, Naruto pulled out the other deck he kept for these kinds of situations. This deck employed a totally different strategy than the one he had been using, and it would be amusing to see if his opponent could figure out what he was trying to do. Naruto could sense that his deck didn't want to duel Zane, but it wasn't afraid either. Naruto turned to face the guy beside him and said, "That was quite the duel that Jaden and Chaz had, wasn't it?" Zane was clearly perplexed by what was happening as well, but he didn't seem to mind. "Yes, it was, but that's not why I'm here now, is it? It's strange that I should duel you for a dorm change examination," he said. When Naruto heard Zane laugh, he simply grinned and said, "Yeah, I was confused too, but it would save me the hassle of having to wait until they found me another opponent. Plus, I've been wanting to duel you for a while now." People in the crowd were curious about what was happening and understood it was unusual for an upperclassman to combat an underclassman in a dorm change test, but that didn't stop them from making predictions about who would win. "I've been wanting to duel you as well, this should prove to be fun," they said. Almost everyone agreed that Zane would prevail, but some people weren't sure because they had already dueled both Zane and Naruto. Their actions and the way they dueled were enough to lead them to be uncertain. Alexis, on the other hand, was anxious since she knew Naruto was a skilled duelist but wasn't sure how he would compare to Zane. She wasn't sure who she should support, but before she could decide, Jaden, Cyrus, and Hayato came down next to her. Cyrus responded to Jaden's query, "Alexis, do you know who's dueling Naruto?" "That's my brother, Zane. He's considered the best duelist in all of Duel Academy," Jaden said with a huge smile on his face, as is his custom. Alexis shook her head at Jaden's statement. "No way. I can't wait to duel him," but something continued to nag at her. "How do you know Naruto, Jaden?" he said, turning to face her. "Well, I met him after I overslept. I was on my way to class, but I saw Miss Dorothy having trouble with her van, so I helped her, and then he came over as well," Jaden said with a look of embarrassment. She went back to the duel that was about to begin after nodding in response to his response. She sensed something in the air, but she couldn't explain it, but she knew that something was going to happen. Naruto LP, 4000. LP by Zane, 4000. "I'll go first, draw." Naruto stared at his hand and drew a card. Breaker the Magical Warrior, Magician of Faith, Spell Absorption, Nightmare's Steel Cage, and Royal Magical Library. I activate Spell Absorption. This increases my life points by 500 points every time a spell card is activated. Next, I activate Nightmare's Steel Cage. This prevents us from attacking until the end of your second turn, and because of Spell Absorption my life points increase by 500. Now, I set one card in face-down defense. I end my turn. 4500 LP for Naruto. Naruto understood that Zane was assessing the turn as he looked at him. I draw. I summon Cyber Dragon in attack mode. Next I activate Pot of Greed to draw 2 cards. I end my turn. Naruto was pleased to see Field Barrier as he drew his card. After summoning the Royal Magical Library, I activate Field Barrier and Magical Citadel of Endymion. Field Barrier prevents the Magical Citadel from being destroyed, of course, and Magical Citadel of Endymion allows monsters to be removed from the Magical Citadel if their effect is activated by removing spell counters. It also gains a spell counter each time a spell card is activated. My life points have increased by 1000 since I activated 2 spell cards. 5500 LP for Naruto. And since Field Barrier is a spell card, my Magical Citadel and my Royal Magical Library gain a spell counter. 1 spell counter, MKOE, 2 spell counter RML. Now, I summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. He gains a spell counter when he's normal summoned. Now, I end my turn. Taking a card out of his deck, I activate Different Dimension Capsule, I remove 1 card from play and I activate Polymerization. I fuse together the Cyber Dragon in my hand and the Cyber Dragon on the field to fusion summon Cyber Twin Dragon and place down 2 spell cards. Unfortunately, because of Nightmare's Steel Cage I can't attack, except that it will be destroyed this turn. When Naruto said, "You're right in that it's going to be destroyed, but because you've used 2 spell cards, I gain 1000 life points, and my Citadel and my Magical Library gain 2 spell counters," Zane frowned a little. Naruto was acting much too casually, almost as if he was manipulating him. 6500 LP for Naruto. 3 spell counters in MKOE, 3 spell counters RML. Naruto appeared to smile even more as the steel cage broke. "I draw," he said, grinning even more. "I activate the Royal Magical Library," he said, "because it allows me to remove 3 spell counters to draw 1 card." Naruto grinned even more as he drew the card. Spell counters RML, 0. Smirking at Zane's scowling expression, Naruto glanced at his palm and said, "Next, I put my Royal Magical Library in defense mode. Next I use Breaker's effect to destroy Different Dimension Capsule. Dark Magician, Magician of Faith, Pot of Greed. I draw 2 cards when I activate Pot of Greed, and I also get 500 health points and some spell counters." Naruto, 7000 LP. For spell counters in MKOE, spell counter RML, 1. Swords of Revealing Light, Lightning Vortex, Endymion the Master Magician, and Magician of Faith. The Lightning Vortex is activated. I can destroy every face-up monster my opponent controls by throwing 1 card from my hand into the graveyard. When I threw 1 card out of his hand, Cyber Twin Dragon was destroyed. Naruto LP, 7500. 5 spell counters in MKOE, 2 spell counters RML. The Swords of Revealing Light are then activated. This prevents you from attacking for 3 turns. My Magical Citadel then receives an additional spell counter. I now call upon the power of my Endymion, the graveyard's master magician. I can special summon Endymion from my hand or the graveyard by taking away 6 spell counters from my Magical Citadel. Endymion was called out from the graveyard in a burst of light. Naruto LP, 8000. Spell counter MKOE, 0. 3 spell counters RML. I select Pot of Greed because Endymion allowed me to bring 1 spell card back to my hand from my graveyard because he was specially summoned in this manner. I then turn on the Royal Magical Library effect. I can now draw 1 card. I'm turning on Pot of Greed now. I draw 2 cards now. Naruto LP, 8500. 1 spell counter, MKOE, spell counter RML, 1. Faith-based magician, dark magician, teacher-student bond, and magical dimension. I cast the magical dimension magic. I can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster from my hand by sacrificing 1 face-up monster on the field. I'm now using Breaker the Magical Warrior to special summon a dark magician. He realized he had surprised everyone around him when he heard the gasps coming from all directions. Unfortunately, they were going to be even more shocked. Naruto LP, 9000. The spell card bond between teacher and student is then activated. This enables me to call forth a renowned magician. There were further cries of amazement when the dark magician girl was called forth in a burst of pink light. Naruto LP 9500. Since I activated 2 spell cards, my cards gain 2 spell counters, 3 spell counters in MKOE, 3 spell counters RML. I've now turned on the Magical Citadel and Royal Magical Library effects. I can draw 1 card by taking 3 spell counters out of my library. I can then reactivate the effect of the Royal Magical Library by taking 3 spell counters out of Magical Citadel. Naruto drew 2 cards and smirked as he examined them. I hate to break it to you, Zane, but I'm going to win this duel. At Naruto's declaration, Zane raised an eyebrow, wondering what kind of cards he had drawn. I turn on the Dark Magic Attack spell card. Only when I have a face-up Dark Magician on my field can I activate this card, which allows him to destroy all magic and trap cards my opponent has on the field. Naruto saw Zane's shocked expression and realized he hadn't anticipated that, meaning he had no cards to defend himself. Naruto LP 10,000. The card that will put an end to this battle is now activated. Twin of Dark Magic explodes. The Dark Magician will now have 4,500 attack points after gaining an identical number of attack points as the Dark Magician girl. Let's do it. Zane was instantly attacked by Dark Magician and Dark Magician girl. The massive magic explosion was powerful enough to knock Zane off his feet. Zane LP 0000. Zane, I've got to say that you are a great duelist. However, you aren't being challenged here. You've begun to stagnate. I have no doubt that you will make it into the Pro League, but it's there that you will begin to grow as a duelist, not here. And Naruto left the room in silence. The pupils had witnessed the overthrow of a monarch and the ascent of a new one. About a week had passed since the duel with Zane, and the effects were still being felt. People were surprised when Zane was demoted to RA Yellow. It seems that although he had a perfect score on the theoretical part, he had a low score on the practical. Naruto's complete loss had caused that. Luckily for him, the dorm change exam was held every month, so he would soon be back in blue. One unanticipated result was that fewer people wanted to duel Naruto anymore. His swift defeat of Zane alarmed all of his opponents, but it also meant that he now had a horde of people vying for his friendship. Naruto was glad he could get rid of them quickly, but it was annoying that he had to do it every day. Naruto and Alexis had been spending a lot of time together because he needed to hide from his fan club. As a result, Naruto learned about Atticus from Alexis, which then led to Alexis taking him to the abandoned dorm, which brought them to their current predicament. Who is he, in your opinion, after defeating a man wearing a mask who had attempted to ambush them? Naruto inquired. Alexis responded, I've never seen him, so I'm not really sure, while Naruto searched the man's pockets for identification. They weren't expecting a pyramid necklace, but as Naruto examined it more thoroughly, he blinded himself with a blinding light. Alexis simply laughed at him as he blinked off the bright spots. After putting the necklace down, they discovered a deck, some rope, and a duel disc. Naruto remarked, We'll take him to Professor Growler, I'm sure he'll know what to do, after grabbing the rope and tying the man up. Alexis nodded to him and started to lead the way to Growler's office. He followed her, taking in the scenery. XXXXX. As Zane sat on his bed in RA Yellow, he wondered himself, what was that sensation? He had been thinking about his combat with Naruto and the feelings he experienced during it ever since. It was not like the other duels he had had. The only other time he had felt this way was during his training when he had faced his former instructor, but this one was much stronger. He seemed to be doing more than just dueling. It was almost as if he was fighting Naruto. This would account for his fatigue, even though he hadn't done much. At the time, he blamed it on losing for the first time in a long time, but now that he had some time to reflect, he wasn't so sure. Unfortunately, he was unable to ask Naruto because he believed it would be best if he worked it out on his own, not because he was afraid he wouldn't receive an answer. As a result, he started challenging other duelists, something he hadn't done in a long time. He was a little nervous because he hadn't had to challenge other pupils in years. Typically, they challenged him. Fortunately, his challenge was accepted, and he observed that this battle didn't have the same vibe as his duel with Naruto. He didn't feel it again until he challenged Bastion Misawa. This time, the sensation was much less, but he was aware of it, which made all the difference. The combat had made his heart race. It was the fire and passion he had been lacking. He hadn't engaged in a duel like that in a long time. Although losing to Naruto might have lost him his dorm, the benefits of the defeat seemed to outweigh the cost. XXXXX. Naruto opened his eyes and leaped from his bed onto his balcony. He searched the night sky for what he was looking for and then took off, tracking the item to see where it would land. But soon after, he realized it would land close to the volcano. Naruto leaped from the balcony and hurried in the direction of the falling star. When he saw it was about to land, he halted and braced himself. He heard a loud boom and felt the island tremble slightly from the impact. He resumed his trek after he was certain that the island wouldn't begin to tremble again. It was a little terrifying because he had to move fast and ensure that no one else would find it, even if the likelihood was slim. He knew he had a steep climb ahead when he arrived at the volcano's foot and seen the crater halfway up. He sighed and realized he should have worn shoes for the ascent. XXXXXX. Minutes before. What is the difference between obelisk blue and RA yellow? As Zane peered off into the horizon, Alexis inquired. She could see him being taken aback by the cultural differences in the dorms. It's strange, ever since I started here, I've always been in obelisk blue. I got used to people being arrogant and self-centered. However, RA yellow was filled with people who enjoy dueling, people who are helpful to each other, and people who want each other to succeed, he said. He concluded by startling Alexis. I don't think I'm going to go back. She stated honestly, I can honestly say, I didn't expect that. He turned to her and laughed, asking, how about you? You appear happier than you have in a long time, I've noticed. Really? To be honest, I haven't really noticed, she said. He remarked slyly, I'm sure we both know who to thank. She blushed a little and was ready to deny it when they both felt the island start to tremble. They looked around in disbelief, expecting an aftershock of some kind, but none materialized. Do you believe the volcano was the cause? As they both turned to gaze at it, Alexis questioned. I'm not sure, but I sincerely hope not. XXXXXX. Naruto said, thank you, Chakra, after he had to scale numerous jagged rocks. Upon arriving at the crater, he glanced up at the enormous stone tablet. Upon noticing a dragon on it, he lifted his palm, causing the tablet to shine. In a matter of seconds, the tablet transformed into a tiny card and drifted into his hand. He was taken aback when he saw the name on the white card. No way. XXXXXX. Did the man have a black trench coat, I wonder? Did you wear a fedora? As Jaden and Cyrus described the rationale behind their impending tag match, Naruto inquired. Indeed, how did you find out? Surprised, Cyrus inquired. He tried to sneak up on us yesterday, but I knocked him out. We then took him to Professor Growler. Do you suppose he managed to get away somehow? Alexis was questioned by Naruto what he thought of it. As he nodded in agreement, Alexis clarified, it's possible he overpowered Professor Growler, he was pretty big. Have you described the situation? They shook their heads in response to her question. After Naruto remarked, you could have just made up a story that he tried to kidnap you or something, Alexis prodded him. Jaden stated, it's not really a big deal. Oh, right before I forget, we found this in the abandoned dorm. while delving into a duffel bag beneath his bed. Alexis said, this is before she trailed off as he pulled out a picture frame and handed it to her. Pointing to the road signature on the photo, Jaden responded, yeah, we saw the name, so we figured that you might know him. Naruto remarked, I can see the resemblance, once he eventually came across a photograph of Atticus. The eyes were where he truly noticed the familial bond, they were highly expressive, much like Alexis. XXXXXX. So a roid deck is what Cyrus uses? Most roids aren't that powerful, but their effects can easily turn the direction of a duel, Naruto remarked after witnessing the fight between Jaden and Cyrus. He's attacking, but why? Why didn't he apply the effect of Patroid, as he witnessed Patroid's attack being refuted, he inquired. As he picked up Pharaoh, Hayato remarked, he walked right into that one. Alexis remarked, I was afraid of this, Cyrus is the weaker of the two and if he keeps playing like this, they won't stand a chance, as Cyrus appeared to withdraw his energy. Naruto noted, and now it seems like he's about to give up, when Cyrus was lying on the ground. Come together. In an attempt to persuade Cyrus to take the situation seriously, Hayato screamed, if you give up this easily, you'll be worse than a first-year repeater like me. As Cyrus truly got up and turned his attention to the combat, Naruto muttered to himself, would you look at that? She told Hayato, looks like you gave him his motivation back, as he grinned with relief at being able to assist Cyrus. I know how hopeless I am, so I don't want others to feel the same way, he humbled himself. I'm pretty sure you understand how others feel because you're not the hopeless person you think you are, she remarked with a smile. Do you think so? As he flushed with shame, he said, she has a way of making you feel incredibly happy, doesn't she? With a smile that made Alexis flush, Naruto remarked, hey, you set my heart aflutter every day, it's a compliment, he said, laughing as he scowled at him in embarrassment. She tried to conceal her discomfort by turning away from him. Gyroid steam? As Steam Gyroid destroyed elemental hero Avian, Naruto remarked, well, that's not the best card for this situation, but I suppose you make do with what you have. Alexis declared, this duel is over, upon witnessing Jaden call forth the elemental hero Thunder Giant. Yup, he's worse than I was expecting, especially since Zane is his brother, he added as Burstinatrix destroyed Cyrus' remaining life points. She said, they don't have the best relationship, once they learned that Cyrus possessed Power Bond. As Cyrus clarified that his brother forbade the use of Power Bond, he remarked, well, if he had used Power Bond and destroyed Sparkman, then this duel might have ended differently. While it seems sense to not use a card if you don't think you can use it correctly, why even have it in your deck? He was irritated that Cyrus had it in his deck at all, saying, it's taking up space that could be used by something else. As Naruto's expression turned irritated, she explained, it might be that he wants to use it, but he respects his brother too much to go against his word. He muttered, that's beyond stupid, as he made his way to his dorm and away from the edge. Alexis scowled at his receding back as he watched him go. XXXXXX. In the dorm change exam, you altered the person I was scheduled to duel with, didn't you? As he prepared for the day, Naruto tapped his phone. Naturally, I did. Why would I have you combat against people who are less skilled than you are when I could have you duel against the best? He received a response. He retorted, that's abusing your authority, and seized his decks. What are you trying to say? Your father and I are dating for a reason, he said, seeing the woman's laughter as evidence that his father approved of her behavior. By the way, when will you two tie the knot? He inquired, genuinely intrigued. As he sighed, she responded, hopefully never, it'd be a goddamn nightmare. When he heard her start ranting at him, he hurriedly hung up. Well, I've got to go, see you mom, he said. XXXXXX. As he strolled behind Alexis, Mindy, and Jasmine, Naruto grumbled, every day is a hassle to get rid of those groupies. As they reached the pier, Alexis remarked, "Well, that's the price of fame. Just give it a few more weeks and they'll stop." "Anyway, what are we doing over here?" As Mindy and Jasmine started to leave them, Naruto inquired. Alexis said, "You and I are going to duel," while donning her gloves. "So we came all the way over here just for that?" he asked, blinking and scratching the back of his head. "It's more private. I figured it'd be the best way to save your reputation when you lose," she replied with a grin. "Oh, so the trash talk is about to begin?" "Okay, I'm game," he responded, turning on his duel disk. "Your Majesty, I hope you're prepared to lose." She simply turned on her duel disk as she knew he was attempting to get a rise out of her. Duel. Naruto LP, 4000. Alexis LP, 4000. "Ladies first," Naruto said, turning to Alexis as he drew 5 cards. "You'll regret that," she remarked with a smirk. With the words, "I draw," I summon Etoile Cyber in attack mode. A figure skater in a red suit appeared out of nowhere. ATK, 1200. Def, 1600. She grinned as Naruto narrowed his eyes thoughtfully. "Then I set 2 cards face down on the field. I end my turn," she said. Naruto selected a card and remarked, "You're being very sneaky." Royal Decree, Draining Shield, Trap Jammer, Evil Hero Gainer, Elemental Hero Heat, and Elemental Hero Ice Edge. "I summon Elemental Hero Heat in attack mode," he said as he reached for Elemental Hero Heat. The crimson, gold, and silver-colored fire hero emerged in a tower of flame. 1600 ATK. Def, 1200. I then placed 2 cards on the field, face down. Royal Decree, Elemental Hero Ice Edge, and Evil Hero Gainer. Now, I attack your Etoile Cyber with Elemental Hero Heat, and thanks to its effect its attack rises by 200 for every Elemental Hero I have on the field. ATK, 1800, 160 plus 200. It set fire to its hands and hurled them at Etoile Cyber. Alexis interrupted, activating one of her face-down cards, saying, "Not so fast. I activate, Double Passé." Naruto remarked, "Damn, so you're choosing to take a direct attack in order to launch your own back at me," as the flame struck Alexis instead of Etoile Cyber. Alexis LP, 2200. "Etoile Cyber attack him directly," she said, fending off the attack. "Oh, didn't you know?" "Etoile Cyber's attack rises when she's attacking the opponent directly," he said, bracing himself for the surprise of Etoile Cyber's strike. ATK, 1800, 1200 plus 600. Naruto took a kick to his face and questioned why holograms could really strike people. Naruto LP, 2200. XXXXXX. Jasmine questioned her pal with black hair, "Hey, isn't that the exact same combo she used against Jaden?" In response to her friend with brown hair, Mindy said, "Yeah, but she had better results against him." This time, all she was able to do was even things out, she said. XXXXXX. Alexis simply shrugged and said, "Well, I guess I end my turn." When Naruto inquired, "Why did she aim for my face?" She began to draw. I activate polymerization. I fuse together the Etoile Cyber on the field with the Blade Skater in my hand to summon Cyber Blader. Naruto questioned whether Alexis exclusively used figure skating cards after witnessing Etoile Cyber and Blade Skater vanish into a vortex. Suddenly emerging from a storm, the robotic figure skater. ATK, 2100. Def, 800. Next I equip Cyber Blader with fusion weapon. Naruto felt sick when he watched the cybernetic arms start to change and change. There was something about the transformation that didn't seem right to him. ATK, 3600. Def, 2300. Cyber Blader attack Elemental Hero Heat. I activate Draining Shield, he said, using his face-down card, knowing that his monster would not be able to withstand the attack. Elemental hero Heat was shielded from harm by a spherical barrier that materialized around him. Draining shield negates your attack, and at the same time I gain life points equal to your monster's attack, the statement read. Naruto LP, 5800. I activate my trap card. A rival appears. This lets me special summon a monster from my hand that has the same level as one of your monsters, said an irritated Alexis as she activated her facedown card. Not so fast, smirking, Naruto pulled out his own facedown card and said, I activate Trap Jammer. This negates a trap if it's activated during the battle phase and destroys it. I summon Cyber Gymnast and activate her effect. I discard one card to destroy one of your attack position monsters, she said, scowling as her trap card was negated. Naruto didn't want to watch his elemental hero Heat burst into a fireball, and as Alexis finished her turn, he drew Royal Decree, Elemental Hero Ice Edge, Evil Hero Gainer, and Pot of Greed. I activate Pot of Greed to draw 2 extra cards. Royal Decree, Evil Hero Gainer, Elemental Hero Ice Edge, Polymerization, and Mask Change. I activate Polymerization to fuse together the Evil Hero Gainer and the Elemental Hero Ice Edge to summon Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. A massive pillar of ice erupted on the field, then broke apart to reveal the white-armored hero. Now I activate Mask Change. By tributing one hero monster, I can special summon a masked hero of the same attribute. I tribute Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. Now come forth Masked Hero Acid. Suddenly, Masked Hero Acid took the place of Absolute Zero. ATK, 2600. Def, 2100. Now, because Elemental Hero Absolute Zero left the field, all my opponent's monsters are destroyed. Alexis realized she had run out of moves to play when she saw her monsters freeze and break. Masked Hero Acid attacked Alexis directly. The masked hero aimed its weapon and fired a shot at Alexis, who crossed her arms and felt the impact as her life points fell. Alexis LP, 0. XXXXXX. As Naruto assisted Alexis in standing up, Jasmine remarked, I kind of expected this to happen. Really? Mindy inquired, taken aback that Jasmine didn't think Alexis would prevail. Mindy simply groaned, nodding in agreement with her friend's reasoning. Alexis is a great duelist, but Zane is better and even he lost against Naruto. Mindy whispered to Jasmine, so, when do you think they'll get together? She returned the whisper, either the end of this year or the next. XXXXXX. As she removed her gloves, Alexis remarked, I thought this might happen, but I didn't think it would be over so quickly. Naruto placed his hands on his hips and remarked, that's no way to go into a duel. With a sweep of her hand, she remarked, yes, but I already knew my level of skill when compared to yours. With a deadpan expression, he lashed back, that just sounds like an excuse. She was going to wave him away when they all heard a scream. They turned to see that the sound was coming from close to the edge. As they ran as quickly as they could, they arrived just in time to witness Cyrus' raft disintegrating and falling into the sea. Jaden and Hayato then dove in, but they could only see that Hayato was knee-deep at most. Naruto twitched an eyebrow and muttered, he's so scared that he didn't notice how shallow the water was? Yeah, I'm not staying to see this pitiful display, he said. He ignored the dissatisfied expression on Alexis' face as he left.